What is going on, everybody? Hope you're having a good day, Thursday or whenever you're watching this. We're going to be talking about the NFL Conference Championship and championship games, and we'll talk a little bit about what we like in the games, and then we'll talk about there's some bets that I have beside bets that I think are kind of interesting for these games. They're teams that I know pretty well, and I'm ready to kind of pumped to get it going. But it should be a fairly low scoring conference championship compared to what we've seen in years past. Sheets, do you agree or disagree with that? Are we going to be betting the overs or?
Well, I agree with that. And I mean, at least the way the first game's supposed to go, I'm not convinced the second game doesn't put up some numbers.
Yeah,
just a lot of a lot better skill players in that second game. Let's put it that way.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean that seems to be probably what the field is going to think. Makes sense. I mean, New England and Denver has good defenses. Denver lost their quarterback, and you would imagine that game, stays sort of low.
Yeah.
And in that last game, I'm sure the people are going to want both Nakua and JSN. I mean, those are like by far the best skill position guys in the four games. So I imagine that's what people are going to want to do, and I don't know. We'll talk about it. I mean, you want to just talk about the first game first, or
yeah? I'll pull up my screen and we'll just sort of go through it. For what it's worth, and I'm just going to grab my little spread page and everything, put it somewhere else. Yeah, I mean, my first thoughts are like, I actually have talked myself into, and maybe this is a mistake, but I've really talked myself into the Broncos here. It's tough. I understand it's with Stidham at quarterback and all this, but the one thing that's interesting, and you'll sort of you make these points sometimes, is you just see if we just go to all the quarterbacks and you see the ownership of these quarterbacks, you're going to see very little on a very cheap Stidham, and what is he, 1/3 Drake May, all this stuff. But yeah, you've got a spread that's within 4 points and a bunch of teams that aren't really supposed to score that many points. So from a DFS perspective, I like the Broncos, and I kind of like the idea of playing some Stidham. What do you think, Sheets?
Yeah, I like the over in that game, just for all the reasons that I just mentioned. I mean, it's just so logical that it should be a low scoring game. I do like the over, and I also, I don't know whether I talked about this with you or talked with somebody else, but Sean Payton's a freaking madman in a way.
Yeah,
and he literally is playing for nothing to lose here. I mean, if they lose with Bo Nix going down, it's not, you know what I mean? It's basically free rolling this game, honestly.
Yeah.
They beat Buffalo in overtime, and they avenged their loss last year. They lost Bo Nix, and they're really just playing with house money right now. If God forbid they win this game, so I think that that Payton is just, this is like a really weird take. I think he's just going to just cut Stidham loose and just throw the ball over the field like that. Mm-hmm. That's my take here. Is that listen? Everybody's expecting us to establish the run and go with Harvey and play a low scoring game. It would be just so freaking Sean Payton to just come right out in no huddle and just have Stidham just trying to just fly out all over the place. So I think this game could become like a high scoring game pretty quickly. If it doesn't become like a 0-0 game very quickly, you know what I mean? So right. I like it. I like playing Stidham. I like playing the receivers. Sutton had kind of an off game or whatever, but I would imagine that he would be, a guy that Stidham would try to find. You know what I mean? Just I would imagine that Ingram, would be a guy he would try to find. So I would start with those two. But you know what Payton does, man? He throws in the little Jordan Humphrey stuff. He throws in all these other dudes, and I imagine that what's his name's not in, right? Or I don't know. Is Pat Bryant going to play?
I think we're still having him as questionable, but I actually think that it's more likely he doesn't play than he does.
So then then you get Mims again. I mean, he's obviously very very dynamic. So I like the Denver side of this, honestly. But I really don't like the New England side, because one thing again I've talked about a lot is that like whenever somebody loses their best player, like the rest of the team kind of rallies. And listen, Denver's defense has been good all year. They're at home and all this stuff. I think they're gonna put up a nice, really, really good game. And listen, New England struggled against Houston's defense. Now, Houston's defense is obviously amazing, but Denver's close enough, and playing in that Denver environment is never easy. And in this, and the fans going crazy. And listen, Drake May has been up to the challenge all year, but this is another level, playing for the Super Bowl in Denver. I mean, who wins that game? You know what I mean? I don't like the New England side. I do like the Denver side. I like them against the spread. I like the Denver offense for whatever it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is it shouldn't be understated how lucky, in my opinion, the Patriots are. Not only did they get all the turnovers, that was good defense partially, and also just Stroud was just melting down. But so far in 2 games, you have 6 fumbles by Drake May, and I think they recovered 4 or 5 of them. That could easily very very easily have gone a different way. So I'm going to be forget the current exposure. That was just running off of sort of like an early build. I was going through the players in this game that I liked that I agree that I think Ingram's being overlooked. New England's a good defense. One defense that they're bottom 10 in is against the tight end. So I really like the idea of Ingram, even though it never seems to quite work out. But I also love backup quarterback, tight end. It always seems to be a good connection, especially with these receivers down. I think Sutton, I'll probably end up overweight on him. We'll see what happens with the Pat Bryant, but my guess is, Mims, I'll probably be overweight, and I'll definitely have some little Jordan Humphrey exposure on the Denver side. I also think we talk about this guy gets a shot every week, and I think playing on a 2-game slate, you get the one Kyle Williams pass on the other side. I think that's kind of appealing. I also like the idea of playing Austin Hooper at low ownership and maybe forgoing Henry, even though I obviously like Henry. And then Travion over Ramondre and all these things. I mean, maybe I'm getting too contrarian, but it's a 2-game slate. I like to be too contrarian. So those are all my little ways, and including a little bit of Jaleel McLaughlin. I'll have exposure to. I'll be underweight Drake May and overweight Stidham by the time we're done. So I think I'm pretty much just taking a contrarian stance from DFS purposes, but also because I really do think Denver can win this game. And it's not going to surprise me.
They're only like a 3.5 point underdog, right, or whatever. It's not like it's a big deal.
It's 4.5. I mean, they're plus 200.
Whatever. So
no, but it's. I mean, still, it's plus 200. It's not a nothing. I'm gonna probably put $100 parlay on the New England. On the Broncos and Rams. Just take both the underdogs. But yeah, I think those are some good ways to get different. And I was looking for some whatever super low owned plays. I mentioned Austin Hooper. I mentioned Lil Jordan Humphrey. I also think, Pop Douglas caught a touchdown last week. They'll look for him in the in between round. Sometimes he's a bailout at times for May. Pop Douglas at like 3% ownership. I just think getting overweight these guys, and honestly, I don't think salary is going to come into play very much unless you're building specifically the Puka, JSN, and who is the other big spend? I guess it would really just be those two. But I don't think you necessarily, outside of those, if you're playing these other guys in a similar price range, why can't we play Little Jordan Humphrey over whether it's Pat Bryant or Marvin Mims? I just think it makes a lot of sense to get the contrarian brain on full blast for a 2-gamer.
Do you like Harvey? I mean,
I do like Harvey.
Yeah.
I don't love him. It's just because I need to play some guys, right? And I like
you need to play 2 running backs. That's what you
I like Travion better than I like. I like Travion because of ownership, better than I like Ramondre. And I'm going to probably play more Travion and Harvey than I will of Ramondre. Those two combined. Because I'm pretty sure the running backs in the next game are a little bit more appealing, especially with no Charbonnet. All right, Sheets takes on it, and it's okay. You're not going to hurt my feelings. Go ahead and say your. I know you've said it before, but you can take this one if you want.
I'll put it to you another way. I mean, if the Rams win this game, I mean, they've got to be the greatest team of all time. I mean, they've gone on the road 2 straight games, and they're playing a team that never loses, who's the most rested team, coming off a bye and a complete cakewalk.
Yeah.
In a tuxedo. They're totally healthy. I mean, if the Rams win this game, if the Rams win this game, I'll make they would have to be a 9-point favorite in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? That's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what to say. I mean, Puka is gonna try. They're gonna try to get him the ball a lot. I'll tell you though, like, I don't know what it is about that dude. Whenever I expect him in the game, sometimes he's like takes plays off and series off. It seems
he's coming out of the game so much because he's literally throwing his body into the defender.
I know that. You know what I mean? So, but nonetheless, I mean, it's going to be Puka's the main guy, and then Adams was a little bit invisible last week. And then they're going to listen. It's going to be like every other game. They're going to try with Kyron. They're going to give Corum snaps. They're going to forget that. They're going to give Corum series. To see what he can do, and they'll try to figure out who they can get open between Ferguson and Parkinson and Higbee now, and Whittington got some run, so listen, the Rams are very diverse. They have a very good offense, and they have a good quarterback, obviously, that could get it to them. They scheme well, and they're gonna do their best, and Seattle's very, very tough to move against. So I expect a very regular performance by the Rams. They'll score in the 20s, I think. I don't think they can score in the 30s, and I don't think they'll only score 14. So I think they'll score in the 20s. I think that Seattle is, good enough offensively again to move it on the Rams. I think other teams have moved it on the Rams as well. So I think it's going to be in the game in the 20s, and I think it's going to be close. I really have no real opinion on who's going to win. I guess Seattle, they're a small favorite. I guess they're a small favorite to win. But, the Rams have been, if not the best team, one of the best teams all year, So,
yeah.
And the listen, and the spread says it all, like if you normally have this number one seed that won its last game by 40 off the bye or whatever, they'd be like an 8-point favorite,
Right.
But because the Rams are so good,
right.
That's it. I think this line is fair. I have no real opinion here. DFS wise, I think that if you played, for example, just Stidham and don't even worry about who else to play over there.
You think he's going to be that low owned, huh?
Oh, I don't even mean low owned. I mean by salary. Like if you play him, then you could probably play at JSN and Puka, and just kind of roll with it. Just have Stidham get his 12, 13 points or whatever, maybe more. Who knows? Maybe less. But I think you should really try to get these two dudes in. They're just the best skill players on the board, and I don't think it's particularly close, honestly. So that would be my attempt is to get those guys in. I mean, sure, Cooper Kupp 3,800. It's kind of hard to say no, and Shaheed 4,100. I suppose. And then you play roulette with all those Rams guys I mentioned, but I think you start with Stidham, Puka, and JSN, and then make the rest work. That's just the way I'm looking at it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I tried to run and I didn't set that many exposures, and mostly they're 5 or 10 percenters, and I couldn't get it to agree with me because I'm trying to make 349 unique lineups.
Okay.
But it's interesting because that they really are trying. They want you to play the Puka and the JSN for good reason, like you're saying. And I'm just trying to kind of interested in some other kind of pivots you can make because I think that's pretty clear that Puka and JSN. But in my opinion, the best advantage the Rams have in this game is the tight ends. Tight ends. Seattle allows the most yards in the NFL. As good as their defense is, this is one thing you find often with good defenses. They allow the most yards in the NFL to tight ends receiving. The Rams have 4 of them that are very good. And we could look at these Terrence Ferguson numbers. I can't tell you how many times I've seen him almost make a 40-yard touchdown catch. You know what I mean? Or had a penalty, including to almost end the last game against the Bears.
Yep.
He almost got that one. I love Terrence Ferguson as a prop bet for a touchdown. I love Terrence Ferguson as a play. I can't, for the life of me, if no one wants to play Tyler Higbee, this is an automatic you get double-digit ownership. If these ownerships are anywhere near reflective of what's real, I think they kind of are. They have favored Parkinson a little bit more. They will still use Higbee. Don't get it twisted. All these guys are going to see the field, including Davis Allen. Davis Allen's the only one it's hard for me to talk myself.
Yeah, I can't get there to Davis.
Yeah, maybe for showdown I could take a shot or two.
You can get to Varner for Seattle. Barner.
Yeah. But the problem is I really like the Rams tight ends. So I want to be well overweight all three of the Rams tight ends, Higbee, Parkinson, and it won't take much to get overweight Ferguson, who's going to, it's going to go up. He was 4% projected owned yesterday. It's up to 7.5%, probably ends up around 10. But I really like the idea of getting in Ferguson and Higbee lineups out there. I also think the Rams are lacking a little bit of speed. Look, Nakua is a great receiver, but nobody's ever said this guy's a barn burner. He's not super fast. He's a great athlete, but he's not like an incredibly fast guy. Devontae Adams is on the back end of his career. I think that also opens up some room for a potential play to Mumfield or Xavier Smith.
Sure.
And Whittington, we saw them use in a big game in some big spots last week. Yeah. So I guess my takes are going to be overweight the Rams and Broncos in general, but especially the Rams tight ends, which is a story I can certainly tell myself. The tricky part comes for me, and partly why I really like the Rams in this game, is the guy I'm most afraid of is Zach Charbonnet, and he's not going to be playing. I actually think that they use him for a lot of tough running. This becomes the real question. What do they do? Are they only going to play Walker for the most part, or will they play Akers? Now, Walker is not a great pass protector. And what's his name is Charbonnet is. Cam Akers was not a great pass protector before, but he was adequate. I do think you're going to see some Cam Akers snacks now. I'm not necessarily saying you play Cam Akers. I'm going to sort of sell my argument for this game, which honestly a lot of it is the defenses, especially the Rams defense. The last three times they've played Sam Darnold, I believe he's averaging 4 picks per game. I believe he's averaging 5 sacks, being sacked 5 times per game. And I think the Rams, I actually think this game could get ugly for the Rams if things go a certain route. Actually, it was ugly, though, the last time they played and Seattle won that game. The Rams were, blowing them out with 6 minutes left. They just didn't close the job. So on the Seattle side, I'm kind of content to be overweight both the defenses in this game. I will be underweight Sam Darnold. I will be underweight A.J. Barner. Forget what my current stuff shows. I will be probably right with the field on Cooper Kupp and above the field on Shaheed, below the field on Kenneth Walker, probably a little below the field on JSN because I have to, I'm trying to do some things different. We'll see where it ends up. And I'll get myself a little bit of Cam Akers exposure, but I did want to make that point that there's definitely a path where the Rams defense can dominate this game, turn it into a passing game, and it doesn't mean Kenneth Walker won't be playing. It's just not necessarily his most effective role. You can run the ball a little bit on the Rams, but I would say that passing is a little bit easier. It's just going to be hard to do without Charbonnet, and the Rams are going to blitz. They're going to go after Darnold because he has not played a good game against them ever, I don't believe. And including a playoff game and 2 basic virtual playoff games during the season against this team. So I'm very heavy on that angle of how to play this DFS wise, which also syncs up with what I think not necessarily will happen, but what I think is very likely to happen.
What is this Cam Akers thing? I mean, I honestly don't even know which team he's on. Cam Akers? He's
on Seattle because they don't. So the problem with the thing with the Cam Akers is that, like, is he even gonna like dress?
No. Why would he? I mean, I don't.
Because they actually need a back. Like Kenneth Walker doesn't get like 90% snap shares. You know what I mean?
I don't know. All I know is he had an enormous game last week.
Yeah, because Charbonnet got hurt.
Right.
And Cam Akers, I don't even believe dressed. As far as I'm not sure actually. But whether it'll be Helani or Velus Jones, this is probably going to be decisions that are more effective for like showdown stuff.
So wait a minute. So is Charbonnet playing this week?
No.
Oh, so we're saying that Akers is going to take over Charbonnet's role. Okay.
To some extent. I mean, but again, it's speculative. Like, you see Saber send me.
Well, so Walker's going to be like 100% owned, right? Is that the story?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
no. So if that's the case, I mean, I'm down. I mean, I'm okay with that. I don't need, like you said, I don't need to play 100% on Kenneth Walker.
But he has been. I mean, like the thing is, like it's a scary fade, but I actually think it's a scarier fade than JSN, but I think it's doable. And I think your way of doing it is like
that is a tough one, isn't it? To fade
it is. I think you're talking about hoping Kyron can outscore him. or Kyren and RJ Harvey both outscore him, and the Rams dominate the game from a defensive perspective, meaning that they're in passing down situations, which maybe Walker is on the field, maybe he's not. But either way, you're probably looking at Darnold's throwing it downfield more often. So that's the angle of how it doesn't work for Kenneth Walker. But can we get two of Travion, Ramondre, Harvey, Corum, and Williams, two of those guys better than Kenneth Walker? I think we can. I think it's a tough one, but I think we can. That's the argument I'm telling yourself, because even though it says 78% Kenneth Walker, it's going to be 92%. It's going to be something like that.
Well, I mean, what's the difference in price between him and Kyren?
Similar. I really wish that they would have priced like they should have this week for DraftKings. They could have made some, they could have priced up Kupp and priced up Walker. It was Kyren 65, 62, which by the way means Kyren's going to be low owned. 62 is
so it's going to be Harvey, Kyren, and Walker. Those would be the three.
I think it's just going to be Stevenson.
Or I say Walker, then
Walker and Stevenson.
Stevenson, huh? Yeah, I guess so.
Just projection wise, like it's a pretty.
Yeah, and they've really been leaning on him.
Yeah. So I like the Travion as a pivot off of him, and I like the idea of.
What about Corum? He's not going to get a serious.
No, I like Corum. I think Corum's a great pivot off of, but like in my Corum lineups, like I haven't set a rule. I haven't even figured out how to do this yet. But in my Corum lineups, I'm just going to play Kenneth Walker. I'm not going to get crazy enough to try and play Corum instead. You know what I mean? You're talking about a 3% owned running back on a 2-game slate. I don't need to make that big of a pivot off of, because it's not like this is bad chalk for Kenneth Walker. One thing is he's put up 20 in both games against the Rams this season already,
and he's got no backup,
and he's got no Charbonnet, who's the guy who would take it away from him. So that's sort of my take. But I
think everybody's playing for the Super Bowl. I think it's going to be like you said. I think it's going to be Ramondre. I think it's going to be. I'm just talking about who's going to get the usage. I think it's going to be Ramondre. I think it's going to be Walker, obviously, and I think it's just going to be Kyren. And so Harvey, Ramondre, Walker, Kyren. So if you play Travion or Corum, or you're really that's really not asking for it, but yeah, I mean you're playing a couple of series, I guess.
Well, Travion gets almost as many snaps as Ramondre does. He had 12 versus 16 last week. He wasn't effective with them. He's also got more explosive big play ability, whereas Ramondre is more likely to get the goal line work. And I think it's just important to try. You're trying to find a pivot. You don't need to pivot off of all of those guys. You just need to, in your Kenneth Walker lineups, throw some Corum in. And your non-Kenneth, which is going to be a lot of Kenneth Walker lineups. But when you're not playing Kenneth Walker, just try to play the two best guys. In those lineups, play Kyren and either Harvey or Stevenson. Because Kenneth Walker is going to be just not playing him as much as the field. He's going to be 90+% owned. It's just going to happen. Also, we have it would have been nice if DraftKings made, $5K Cooper Kupp and $5,200 Shaheed, and Devontae Adams is $8K or something. Just make it a little bit harder for us to get everything in.
Yeah.
Because but it is 2 games also. So, this could be a slate where leaving 7,000 on the table might actually win you the tournament. I really think that's possible. That's just my take. But I did want to mention that I think the Rams tight ends, the Rams defense, that's a great way to get different on this slate. You look at the defenses. I think everybody's going to be playing defenses in the first game.
Yeah. We
have the Rams and Seattle as the two clear lowest defenses.
Yeah.
Make sure you're overweight those defenses. That would be all I would say. It's just you're seeing a huge ownership discrepancy, and I just think it's right to. And by the way, none of these are bad defenses. All of them could have a great game here.
Yeah, 100%.
So
100%. I mean, Seattle and Denver at home are two of the best defenses ever almost. It's
yeah.
And Darnold's always very live to do Darnold things.
Yep.
And then you have a rookie quarterback. I'm not rookie quarterback. Then you have Stidham.
Yeah. So I'm going to be beating down that let's go Rams and Broncos, and if I can get some weird guys in those games to score for me, I could have a very good day, because there are some serious, and the ownerships will tighten up a little bit, but there are some guys who are just getting completely left off this slate that I don't think, should be, like Tyler Higbee being one of them. I mentioned little Jordan Humphrey, but although his numbers will change once we find out about Bryant. Even Mims, as is currently sits, I just think there's a lot of guys that are getting overlooked, and then including the large field play of Kanata Mumfield and Jordan Whittington and Xavier Smith and Blake Corum. I'm going to be well overweight all these guys. Most of my lineups are going to be duds probably, but if any of them hit, I'm going to have a real chance because I'll have at least double the ownership of what the field has on those guys. Anyway. All right, Sheets. Just wanted to talk through it with you a little bit, and any other thoughts that you want to?
My big sweat is whether I'm going to be able to watch the game, only because the huge blizzard here. I hope my TV doesn't go out.
Really?
Yeah.
How long is the blizzard supposed to last?
What?
Is it the blizzard just Sunday? Or is it a multi-day thing?
It's a big blizzard, so I might lose reception.
But it's in like multiple days, like it'll be going on for?
It's going to be Sunday through all day Sunday through Sunday night.
Oh, okay, cool. I didn't know if it was just like a because sometimes the blizzard lasts longer. That sucks.
Let's see.
How is it? Your place is pretty good with that stuff.
Not really, because I have Dish Network, so there's a big satellite dish, and once the snow covers it, I'm kind of screwed.
Oh, I got to get my buddy to sell you a used generator or something.
Yeah. Oh, we have a generator. It's not such as losing the electricity. It's the covering of the satellite.
Oh, of the actual dome. Okay, I got you.
We'll see.
All right, bud.
Okay.
All right, man. Good to talk to you. Good luck, everybody. And we'll see you guys I'll see you Sunday. Not sure exactly what time we'll be recording. We'll be going live, but I'll definitely be going live with whether it's Sheets or Brandon or somebody.
Great.
All right.